It's the President's Own.
The President's Own.
United States Marine Band.
United States Marine Band.
United States Marine Band.
The United States Marine Band. From then to now.
Hello. My name is Staff Sergeant Hannah Davis, soprano vocalist with the President's Own United States Marine Band, and thank you for joining us as we conclude our retracing of the Marine Band's story through the lens of U.S. history from the 20th century to the present day. Coming off the heels of the Civil War, the newly reunited States of America looked to move past its old ways and enter the 20th century anew. Although many Americans still had to fight for change, things were steadily heading in a direction of progress with reformations made to working conditions, immigration, and voting rights. Seeing the President's Own into the progressive era was the band's famed 19th director, William H. Santilman, once a musician under John Philip Sousa. Santilman aimed to push the band's quality even further and created a full-string ensemble within it known today as the Marine Chamber Orchestra. After 4 dedicated years of rehearsal, Santilman was finally satisfied with the band's progress, and the national concert tour was resumed in 1902. This era of relative peace was short-lived, however. Soon, the shockwaves of a great war would find its way to the U.S., and the nation would quickly find itself plunged into one of humanity's bloodiest chapters. On the home front, the band supported troops abroad through recruiting and bond sale rallies, Red Cross fundraising events, and near-daily concerts to bolster the American spirit. On the front lines, Marines brought fame and glory to the Corps in the Battle of Belleau Wood and across the European theater. After 4 years of bloodshed, the First World War finally came to an end on November 11, 1918. The post-war years revived the American spirit and way of life. As the U.S. rolled into the roaring 20s, leaps in technology changed humanity forever, with developments in the airplane, automobile, and the radio, where the music of the Marine Band reached homes across the nation through the Dream Hour program, which became the longest-running program in network radio history. Over the next 2 decades, Americans experienced ups and downs with periods of both prosperity and hardship, but nothing could have prepared the nation for what was to come. On December 7, 1941, as America was in the throes of the Great Depression, war suddenly struck once again in the form of an unprovoked attack from the Japanese military on Naval Station Pearl Harbor, where over 2,000 Americans were killed. The Marine Band was among the first to receive word as an ensemble was playing at the White House during the time of the attacks. And what was supposed to be a crippling deterrent blow to the American military, a sleeping giant was awoken, and the American people were filled with an unbreakable resolve to put an end to the Axis powers that terrorized the globe during the Second World War.
That we will not only defend ourselves to the uttermost, but will make it very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us.
As Marines fought ruthlessly to free the Pacific, the Marine Band once again stayed committed to the American people back home through its musical duties, performing on the radio, and for rallies to support the war effort. In 1943, the band performed a special wartime concert on the White House South Lawn for President Roosevelt and Winston Churchill. Despite a heavy rain, Roosevelt and Churchill stayed throughout and sang the Battle Hymn of the Republic with the band, reflecting the Allied forces' determination to withstand the storm of battle and bring an end to the Second World War. The end of World War II was a day of historic celebration in America. Citizens gathered in the streets by the hundreds of thousands and cheered. The Marine Band helped the people celebrate by performing alongside the Navy, Army, and Air Force bands in a nationally broadcasted radio concert. The end of the war ushered in a new era of prosperity that completely revitalized the American economy, gave work to the unemployed, and created a boom in the population, marking a bright new chapter in American history. The Marine Band was now an artistic representative of one of the greatest superpowers the world had ever known, the United States of America. America's new position in the world would bring about a period of immense internal and external conflict. The U.S. would struggle to maintain influence across the globe through conflicts in Korea, Vietnam, and the Middle East as the Cold War raged on. Back home, Americans clashed with one another as they fought on the direction for America's future and wrestled with the ways of America's complicated past. Tensions were fierce over war, civil rights, and racial equality. The internal strife in America reached new devastating heights on November 22, 1963, with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
The flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
On November 25th, as the nation mourned and the world watched, the Marine Band, at the request of Mrs. Kennedy, led the president's funeral procession. As America continued to adapt to change, so too did the Marine Band. On March 7, 1973, French horn player Ruth Johnson successfully won a Marine Band audition and became the first female to enlist in the President's Own. Only 2 weeks earlier, the college senior had written a letter to the Marine Band's director, Dale Harpham, asking him to seriously consider offering her an audition. She assured him that she could handle any and all of the duties required. After some time, the tension of the Cold War began to ease, and relations between the U.S. and the Soviet Union seemed to head in a new direction. In an effort to signify this positive shift to the world, the United States saw music as a potential route to solidify goodwill between the global superpowers. In February of 1990, while combining music of John Philip Sousa with images of Vladimir Lenin, the Marine Band toured 5 cities in the Soviet Union, performing to full house audiences in Moscow, Kiev, Lviv, Minsk, and Leningrad, and in doing so strengthened ties with the USSR, helping to push the two nations further into a direction of peace.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
As the U.S. moved into the final decade of the 20th century, the American way of life was one of optimism and possibility. People believed in the nation, in themselves, and what the future held. America had just showcased a riveting display of dominance alongside coalition forces in the First Gulf War, and on June 8, 1991, thousands gathered along the streets of Washington, D.C. as the Marine Band performed in the National Victory Parade. America in the 1990s continued to flourish as the economy was in the midst of a boom, and the rise of the internet ushered in a radical new era of communication, which helped launch the Marine Band into the 21st century and has allowed the band to connect with the American people through recording projects, online education programs, live stream performances, and more. For the past 225 years, the Marine Band has remained ever present for the nation's most important moments, helping America celebrate during the highs and serving as a reminder of its indomitable spirit during the lows. Whether it's ushering America's newest leaders into office, laying America's heroes to rest, making music with America's living legends, having fun on America's most beloved programs, or touring the country and performing directly to the American people, the Marine Band will continue playing America's music, as always, since 1798. Thank you once again for joining us. This has been the United States Marine Band from then to now.